Joining us now is someone who knows very well about the NFL and the athletic community. That's Hall of Fame quarterback from the Minnesota Vikings, Fran Tarkenton. Fran, great to talk to you, sir.
Thank you.
Great to be with a fellow Georgia Bulldog as well.
Well, good. I think it's we're all grieving about the two police officers in New York. They have the toughest job in this country, and they do such a terrific job. And I know they've been targeted the last few weeks because of the incidents that were out there. But these are wonderful people. They're the backbone of America and always have been. And I'm glad to see some of our NFL brothers go out and support them in this time. Tom Coughlin did, Nick Mangold, you just mentioned, did. I'm sure many others. And I think all of us citizens of America ought to show our appreciation and sympathy to the families of the two slain officers and how awful that was. And they have a tough job, a job that they're under the proverbial gun every day, looking at death every day, and they do a phenomenal job, and they deserve and need our support at this time.
Well, yeah, not just metaphorically, sometimes literally they're under the gun as police officers. You know, a lot of these NFL players, Fran, as you know, get a lot of protection from police officers who are at these games or at their practices or on the road with them as they travel. But yet still we had some players in the NFL putting their hands up in protest at a game. We've also seen other athletes in sports like the NBA wearing these Can't Breathe T-shirts. Do you feel like the average professional athlete really has the respect? We saw that from Nick Mangold, but to the other athletes out there, do they have the appreciating respect of how often these police officers actually protect them while they're doing their own jobs?
Well, my generation has that respect, and I think that it's troubling to see this generation of athlete take to the streets and take to these kind of demonstrations using their platform that was more questioning of police officers. I think that's a dangerous signal out there, and the results of that dangerous signal comes back to attracting people like the crazed guy who shot these police officers. We don't need that environment. We don't need to put these police officers in more jeopardy than they're already in, and they need the support of all the people that have a public platform. And to use that against them, it's not a good idea.
Do you think in any way, we mentioned those Rams players who did the hands up protest, do you think in any way they've contributed to this anti-police rhetoric that seems to be escalating and boiling over at this point?
I don't know. I don't pinpoint that or not. The guy was a crazed guy who killed him. Maybe he never watches television. I don't know. But I wish that doesn't happen. I don't think that's appropriate. I think we have concerns when we see things that are questionable, but to really attack our police officers in this country, that's not a good thing.
No, it certainly is not. And, you know, we wanted to talk about this. Is such a huge story. It seems to kind of fold into many aspects of our lives. And we wanted to get your take on this just because of the connection with these athletes and involved in these protests thus far. But we also wanted to talk also about your new website, frantarkenton.com. We can move in that direction. You said that you want to bring together people who want to improve their state of life. And really you're talking about entrepreneurs here. Let's talk about that website. We got to take a short commercial break in about 45 seconds, but I just want to give everybody a little taste here. What are you trying to do with the website, Fran?
Well, the website is frantarkenton.com, and I am engaging with entrepreneurs and thought leaders and people who just want to have a better life. And so I'm sharing everything that I'm writing and reading. And today at 1 o'clock Eastern time, we're having a Google Hangout. It's all free. So go to frantarkenton.com and join us on my Google Hangout. I'm going to talk about failure is the key to success, and I'm also going to talk about the NFL playoffs and who's going to win what. It'll be 1 o'clock Eastern.
Everybody a little preview of that Google Hangout, if you don't mind. We'll talk about that. And we also want to talk about failure and why you said failure was so important. We mentioned our co-affiliation with the University of Georgia. You're a legend. The Bulldog fans like me don't talk about failure very much when your name is mentioned. We'll talk about that and why that's been so important. We got to turn away for a commercial break real quickly, Fran, but we'll be back. Talk a little bit more about Fran Tarkenton, the NFL Hall of Fame quarterback, and how he has managed to find success both on the football field and off now, as well as a successful entrepreneur. We'll be right back with more on America's Forum right after this. Around with us for more conversation, Fran Tarkenton talking about his new website, appropriately named FranTarkenton.com. And I don't know about everybody else at home, but I'm pretty pumped up, ready to tackle the day. But Fran, I wanted to talk first about the first soundbite we played there, the one talking about what you learned from losing.
Well, in my football career, I go looking, and after a game, if we won the game, we'd all high-five one another. We would go to dinner with each other's families. We would talk about the great plays and how we did this and how we did that. And when we lost, we didn't go out together. I went back to my condominium, and I looked at film, and I looked at everything that I did and questioned everything I did, and how did I not prepare? What did I not do? In other words, really what I learned from was failing. I didn't learn from winning. And that's something people don't want to really look at. I don't want to look as a loser. And most people, we all fail. It's part of life. And that's how we learn. But we cannot learn from failure if we don't embrace failure and take ownership of failure. Everybody's looking for a silver bullet. What's the silver lining? What's the one silver bullet we have to be success? That silver bullet is this: respect everybody, build relationships of trust, tell the truth, do things the right way. Nobody has a franchise on the best idea. All people have competition in their products, no matter what your technology might be. And how you differentiate yourself is how you treat your people, how you build relationships, how you treat all people with respect, both your customer, your prospect, and the people who work with you.
Now, talk to us also about the reading the signs here, because as a quarterback, you have to read the opposing defense, and you may have a play you think is going to work, but then you have to call an audible at the line because you see something. Tell folks about, they get in that tunnel vision, so focused on something, but they can't change.
They need to read the signs because, we all are taught, let's be positive about everything. Have a good attitude and everything will be well. That's not true. I like to have a good attitude, but I've got to see the signs. The signs are reality. And by looking at the signs and seeing reality, if I will do that, I will make decisions that will move me forward and help correct and help solve a problem. Bad news does not get better with age. And most people in leadership and most people in business see every little sign. Again, the signs are reality. And bad news does not get better with age. You got to solve problems now and move on. And that's comes in with the same thing of failure, right? When failure happens every day, we got to fail fast, but we got to recognize failure, take ownership of failure, and learn from that to get better and build better relationships and treat people with better respect. And when you start doing that, all of a sudden your life changes. And I watch these football programs. Seattle Seahawks dealt with some really tough issues this year. One of them was Percy Harvin, was a cancer in their locker room. Great player, great skills. They said, this is not good for our team. Not the right type of guy for our team. They moved on. And they went and struggled at the reality that they weren't playing well. They weren't tackling. They weren't running. They weren't throwing. And they corrected that. And they looked at those signs. And now they look almost unbeatable. They're at least as good as they were last year. That's what we have to do in everyday life. It's all about reading the signs. It's all about paying attention to detail. It's all about treating everybody with respect. It's always about the customer and other people, not selfish us. When that comes into our life, we become better. We have a much better chance to be successful.
All right, let's give folks at home, Fran, one more chance to hear about your Google Hangout coming up today at 1 o'clock. Tell everybody where they can go on their second screen, because they're going to be watching Midpoint with Ed Berliner at 1 o'clock, but where they can go on their second screen to tune into your Google Hangout.
They can go to FranTarkenton.com. It's all free. Sign up for our Google Hangout at 1 o'clock Eastern time, and I'm going to talk about the secret to success is failure. Then I'm going to give a preview of the playoffs and tell you who's going to win what.
All right, who's going to win the Super Bowl? Since we have about 20 seconds left to go, give us your pick on who's going to win the Super Bowl.
I think it's Seattle versus New England. Seattle wins.
All right, Seattle, another Super Bowl championship for the Seahawks. Very good. You must like Russell Wilson, too, that scrambling quarterback. Reminds you of somebody, doesn't he? All right, Fran Tarkenton, thanks so much for being with us. More to come here on America's Forum. We're going to talk with Andrew Campanella coming up about school choice, a very important issue, especially for Republicans, right after this.
When the glass